Hello, I'm Helen Thorne, comedian, podcaster and author. Welcome to Weight Loss 360 with Boots Online Doctor. We're here to support you as you make the little changes that can have a big difference. And this week we're talking about ditching the diet. I can't wait to get into this one. As always, we're joined by the fabulous Dr. Sam, who's an author, empowerment coach and a lifestyle GP.
Hi, Helen.
Hello. And wonderful Ruth, who is a nutritionist and nurse. Hello, Ruth.
Hi Helen. Hi everyone.
Welcome back. Now, as we do every week, let's sort of get into the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of what we're going to be discussing. We're going to be discussing ditching the diet. Now, I was always told diet is a 4-letter word. Is that correct? Should we think of it as a swear?
I think it's a complete swear word. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. I think that sums it up really in a nutshell. What we want to talk about today is getting rid of the whole diet dogma, really changing our mindset and thinking about sort of weight loss and health as a journey which is all about health, and that it doesn't just need to be wrapped up around food and about diet. We need to be sort of really thinking as broadly as possible, taking that whole 360 view of weight loss and what that means. So not just focusing on the number on the scales, but also thinking about other parameters of health, you know, how you feel when you wake up in the morning, whether you've got energy, all of the other things that we can really be considering as factors where we know we're feeling good, and really moving away from the total focus of food. Food is obviously really important, and I'm a nutritionist, so I really know how important that is. But it's more than that. It's all of the other factors as well.
Absolutely.
And just getting away from that sort of over restriction, because if you go into that whole diet mindset and you're overly restricting, then we know that that is likely to lead you to maybe having some episodes where you put those foods back in with a vengeance, almost overeating. And everything that you've achieved can be very quickly undone.
And when you hear the word diet, you always think it's such a semi-permanent or short state, isn't it? It's not. And what we want is a new lifestyle, or we want just to, as you say, feel better. And it's about everything: food, energy, exercise, the whole
Embracing your health in the complete sense for life, isn't it?
So I really want to start to unpack the whole dieting culture, because I think it's it's such a loaded thing in our culture. And we would have learnt about diet from when we were very little, and that we've got to have a diet for when we're going on holiday, or you must, thinner is better, that you must restrict and punish yourself. And I wanted to kind of get your sense of what you thought about diet culture as well, and how that's influenced us.
Yeah, these are really good points. And I think it is so embedded in our culture, this whole diet mindset and thinner is better, and how we have to be slim for a special occasion or whatnot. But it's the emphasis is not put on the long-term result, the long-term being a healthier weight for your health, for your energy levels, for your mood, all of these things. It's sort of really simplified and made really almost trivial in terms of holidays and events and things, whereas actually this is a key point for our long-term well-being, our happiness, at its core, about being at a healthy weight that supports our bodies, that nourishes, so we are nourished from the inside out. We're not going to talk about the D word, but that can just make it a much more trivial change and a short-term one.
Yeah, and they're often very toxic and for very little nutritional benefits. Like there was one diet that was, I think you were drinking maple syrup and turmeric or something like that. So of course it will achieve short-term weight loss gains, but what is it going to do for you in the long term?
How is that nourishing you? How is that nurturing you?
And where's your physiology going with all of that? What's it doing to your actual body? And the sort of long game here is really important. So what's going on in terms of your stress management, your sleep, your relationships with other people? Those are going to be part and parcel of what you look at through this process, because they're really important.
We're not just looking at weight as the only parameter for success. We're also looking at your energy levels. We're also looking at your self-confidence. We're looking at how you feel in yourself and what that means to you. Do you have less joint pain? Do you have less worry about your health because you've lost the weight? But there's so many other factors that go into this journey.
All right. So how do we ditch the diet, and why should we ditch the diet?
What we wanted to talk about with ditching this mindset is really looking at the other things that you know that this kind of journey, this kind of transformation will give you. We're talking about a 360-degree transformation, a real big change for a lot of us who maybe have been on this diet roller coaster, on again, off again. Just, it's pretty mind-boggling, but we can think about it as, okay, so what is actually motivating us? So we've talked in our first episode of this series, we talked all about mindset, and we talked about, having a focus, having a reason why we're on this journey. But think about what would motivate you. So let's talk about, I really want to get this swanky car. But what I want in that car is not the nuts and bolts, not the paint job. I don't want those things. What I want is how I'll feel when I'm driving that car. That maybe I'll feel that somehow I'm a success, or I feel a sense of luxury, or I feel comfortable, or I feel proud. There are many feelings that go along with that sense of achieving that goal of getting that fabulous car. That's the feeling that you are after with this journey. It doesn't really matter what the nuts and bolts or the specifications of that car is. It's the sensation that you'll have when you're driving that car that you're after.
But also I think it's the way you connect with people as well, because
Absolutely.
sometimes when you have a poor relationship with food, you go out less with people. You're like, oh, I don't want to think about going out because I don't want to eat those foods, or I don't want to exercise with people because I'm self-conscious about my body. Your life can become enriched when you have that confidence about making the right food choices, or moving your body, or just, having that confidence to be with others as well, because I think that's what a lot of people who've been through this journey have said. It's given them so much life back.
It becomes part of who you are. Sort of like how you identify yourself. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You have to practice a different approach. I think that's what we're aiming for here, is just to get a different way of looking at this. Start thinking about your health and move away from that sort of over-restrictive approach to food.
So it sounds like, from what you're saying, emotional health, or how you feel about yourself, plays such a big role in this very big journey. And it's a beautiful journey to give to yourself. You're committing to yourself a healthier, happier life. You want to have more energy. And I know, because my weight loss came after my divorce, and so my own self-worth was at a real low. And I, through the support of a nutrition coach and all that sort of thing, I could feel like giving myself this, new approach to my food and health and sleep and stress was a really lovely way of healing myself in a positive way, but just treating myself well, like treating myself like I would treat a friend. And I was very conscious of not calling it, I'm going on a diet, but I'm just making some changes that are just going to make me feel good.
Yeah, and that's a really, really important step, isn't it? It's sort of understanding that you're important, and actually it's about your journey to feeling good.
Yeah. I love the way you put that, actually, that kind of making some changes to make yourself feel better. And that's exactly what it is. And I think it's, when we're on a journey like this, it's a good opportunity to just check in with ourselves. Like, how do I take care of myself? Do I let myself have an early night? What do I do to relax? And sleep is not the same as relaxation. How do we unwind? How do we allow ourselves to? Sometimes when we're in that diet mindset, we can be really hard on ourselves. This is not a straight line journey. No journey of transformation is ever a straight line. There will always be a little ups and downs along the way. And that's okay. That's okay. And those things are, cross our path for us to learn from, as long as we take each of those little challenges. Some weeks will probably be amazing and really straightforward and don't present any challenges, but sometimes there are tricky situations, but we need to have that mindset of learning from those.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that every October, it's my daughter's birthday on the 28th, my birthday's on the 30th, Halloween is the 31st, and Guy Fawkes is the 5th. It's all sugar, it's all cake, it's all fun, but there's no weight loss happening there. There's, that you just got to let that go. It's a bit like Christmas, and you just go, don't restrict yourself. Don't say, look, I've got to. No, enjoy all the things, but just know you can get back on track the following week.
But don't let it completely derail you. You know that you still got this commitment to yourself, which you can pick up again.
Yeah.
But also enjoy those happy occasions, because when you're in that diet mindset, you generally are restricting yourself so much that you go without.
Yeah.
And then you feel miserable.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to help anyone, is it? So I think, really feel the joy, take part, and just, compensate somewhere else for maybe going off track a little bit. It's okay to. We know that a lot of people really struggle with sabotaging their efforts for getting healthy or for losing weight. And it's a real factor for many people. And that can be in the form of procrastination. So they might find all sorts of excuses not to get started or to derail themselves. And that can be real and something that we'll pick up, I think, in future episodes, because it's such an important element.
And I think it comes a lot from, things people have said to them as well. And it's an emotional unpicking. We can't just go, all right, we're going to eat 7 almonds at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. We have to make this work in a realistic way. Now, so many of us have been on, diets for many years and battled with our weight. And also the fact that foods are called good and bad. Now, how do we get over this we'll get through this, because I think that's the hardest thing. So what advice would you give us?
Okay, so I'd start with just taking a step back. We start with the basics. We talked a lot about, in the food fundamentals episode, we talked about how to build the plate, how to take stock of where you are right now. So using the food and mood diary and just record, okay, what are my trends with food? Am I eating late? How do I build my plate? Okay, what does my plate look like right now? Just being gentle. This whole 360 journey is about, loving the foods that love you back, but also your relationship with yourself, and how do you nourish yourself inside and out. We know that we can't have this temporary change in our minds. We have to step by step look at making those changes gently, over time. We do not do everything at once because it just simply won't happen. We have to be realistic. We're taking this step by step, and we are really looking at that long-term success and holding on to our understandings.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's celebrating those small wins. Like, totally. I had an extra hour's sleep. I added some more green vegetables to my, I added some more protein. And I think, I know we're talking long-term, people go, oh, when is it going to happen? But if you have short-term, congratulations to yourself as well, because
there are wins along the way.
Because with dieting, and that's why I think we should ditch the diet, it was like, in 5 weeks, you'll achieve this thing. And that's what we're saying to get rid of. Not those numbers, not those things. It's like, no, I have a better relationship with food that's going to continue, not the,
And on that
just eat cabbages for a week.
So, and I think that's the real issue here, is change your relationship with food. Really explore what your relationship with food has been up to now, and maybe learn to love the foods that love you back. We talk about that a lot in our food episode, but it's really important to get a grip of which foods are going to feed your health and which ones you need to learn to love, even if they're completely new or alien for you. It's, being brave, I think. And one of the things that we really need to think about is pleasure, because food is a pleasure. But actually, it's really interesting when you look at what the research tells us, is that the real pleasure comes with that first bite of food. So actually eating more is not necessarily going to bring more pleasure. So if you're having like a really decadent pudding or a brownie or something, you don't actually have to eat the whole thing to get the pleasure. You can have a small amount. Really embracing the pleasure of what you're eating and really experiencing the taste sensation is really important.
And I think this is little things like when I go out for pizza now, I'll have a children's-sized pizza and a salad. Yeah. So I'm not missing out on pizza. I don't feel like I'm being like the wet blanket, but I can have some leafy greens and I can have, my pizza as well. So there's certain ways in which you feel like you're not having to miss out on everything.
We really want to stress that we do understand that this is not a one-size-fits-all, but this is a very individual journey for each of us to go on, and it can be a really beautiful journey. It can be, the steps along the way, the developing this really understanding, patient, kind relationship with yourself, developing a bit more of that mindfulness that you were talking about, Ruth, that, the way you eat, if you're chewing, if you're eating a little slower, really enjoying your food.
Yeah.
And recognizing that actually, you know what, I'm full, or that's enough. I can put that down now and save it for later, or what
That's
have
it.
you.
Buy yourself a new plate, buy yourself a new bowl, like all those sort of there's the ritual of food as well. Put on your favourite music while you're making, allow yourself, just give yourself an extra 10 minutes to make the food, rather than it's like, oh, quick, reheat that quickly, shove it down as quickly as possible. I think all those sort of things are just beneficial, but everyone is so busy and so stressed out that food can kind of get pushed down the list of priorities because you're washing the PE kit, and all those sort of things. Like, oh, I've got a million things to do. Okay, it's now time for a question from our lovely weight loss community here at Boots Online Doctor. Now, I could have written this question myself. I'm going to read this out. This lovely person has said, I find my dieting is often so restrictive to the point that I then overeat and I put all the weight back on again. What can I do? It's such a good question, isn't it? Because I'm sure we've all been in that cycle.
Yeah, that's a really great question, and I think
very
that's sort of like
story.
Yeah. And what we've been talking about today, really, isn't it, is actually that we know that diets just don't work. They sort of create that whole mindset about restriction, which very often leads, as our community member has said, to overeating. So I think the first step is ditch the diet, ditch that diet mentality, and really start thinking about the habits that you've got and making some new habits around how you eat and what you eat, because, just really tune into the other episodes, because you're not alone with this. It's really hard to break that cycle if you're used to being on a diet and off a diet. You need to change that mindset. Let's just talk about adopting a healthy eating approach for life and really learning what that looks like. And practicing, we have to practice. It's not going to just be the switch that happens just because you want it to. You have to mindfully put the food on your plate to get you where you want to be.
Yeah, and I think diets are just unrealistic.
Yeah.
They don't adapt to the way you work, the way you live, your family life and all that sort of stuff. And this is what, the 360 approach is, as opposed to a diet, is that you're taking control. You're not letting the diet control you. And that's what you want. You want to feel confident.
Yeah. So I think the aim of this series is to help people like this wonderful community member who has, really spoken the truth of so many of us who've been on diets and been on and off and lost weight, regained it, and then some. And, unfortunately, this has happened. But we can draw a line and we can start talking more positively towards ourselves, having that attitude of, the way I'm going to approach food is going to be different from now on. And it's making small changes. We're giving a lot of information through these episodes, but we have to remember it step by step. It really is take a couple of things and make a change, maybe per week, maybe put something different in your trolley. We really don't want to overwhelm people with changes. And I think this journey, we also want to really encourage this starting to know yourself a bit better, starting to really be in your body a bit more, like knowing what hunger feels like, recognizing some of those automatic behaviors, those autopilot things that we've done for perhaps decades. You know what, maybe we can look at that. Maybe I don't need that. Maybe if I change the way I build my plate, I wouldn't need that. So it's a real exploration here, and I think it's really powerful to know that you're certainly not alone, but it doesn't matter how many times you have tried to make a change, you still can.
So we've covered a lot in this episode. We're encouraging you to ditch the diet, but Sam, Ruth, what are your top tips? What are your takeaways? The good takeaways.
The good takeaways. So I think the first one is to think about the other parameters to measure your success by, to really look at maybe your energy levels, maybe how your joints feel, maybe your sense of self-confidence as measures of success as you progress.
Ruth?
Yeah, a couple of things from me. Recognising that it's not a linear journey. There are going to be potential challenges in the way, and that's part of the learning and part of moving forwards, is just how you begin to navigate those differently. And then get some support. It's really important. Talk to your friends or somebody who's also on that journey with you. It doesn't have to be a close friend. It can be somebody who becomes your buddy in this whole process. It can be really helpful.
Absolutely. My third tip is self-care is so important. So that being kind to yourself, your inner dialogue, but also reflecting. So perhaps using a journal can be quite helpful. It doesn't have to be every day, but just noting down how you're feeling and what this journey is bringing up for you. And sometimes it can bring up quite difficult things to deal with and to seek support, and it might be that you need some more professional help to help you sort of pick through the emotions that might be coming up on this journey.
Ruth, you've got one more tip. I can see it.
You're so
Come
right.
on.
You've become a mind reader as well,
Yes, I
Helen.
have.
You can
Yes,
add
I have
that
become
to
a
your
mind reader.
list.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, just, we're going to talk about this in other episodes, but don't be afraid of food. It can be your friend as well.
I have learnt so much, and I think, just to unpack or sort of demystify what diet means, because it is just so ingrained. What we're on now is not a diet. This is just a new way of living. And I think that's the way forward, because I think diet, as we said at the beginning of the episode, is short term, and what we want is this 360 long term goal and aims and wins. We can do this. We can do this together. Weight Loss 360 is a Fresh Air production with Boots Online Doctor. The producer is Ollie Seymour. We've got a bonus episode coming your way in a few days' time, focusing on men's health and how weight loss can positively impact your sex life. And in next week's episode, we'll be talking all things sleep and its important role in a successful weight loss journey. We'll be joined by Dr. Mark Pereira from the Boots Online Doctor team. Thank you for listening. We're here to help you make your weight loss healthy and long-lasting. So remember to follow Weight Loss 360 with Boots Online Doctor wherever you listen to your podcasts, and you'll never miss an episode. Make sure you check out Boots Online Doctor Weight Loss Service for a whole load of other amazing advice and free resources. And this includes a weekly live webinar where our experts can answer your questions. The information shared here is evidence-based to help you achieve and maintain weight loss. However, if you have any health concerns or questions, please consult your GP before making any changes to your diet or lifestyle. Remember, every small change is a big step towards a healthier, happier you.